Well, welcome to another episode of Manifesting Magically with Trevor and Anne. I'm Trevor, and with me is my good friend Anne. And first off, we'd just like to say happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and thank you to everybody who's subscribed, who hits the thumbs up button, who leaves a comment, who watches the videos, shares the videos. We appreciate all of you. Hope you're having a great holiday. How are you doing, Anne?
I'm excited. I like the holidays. I love the community. I love being around family and friends. How about you, Trevor?
It's an interesting holiday. Thanksgiving something that we have our tradition, which is not traditional, but it's our tradition that we've had for a number of years, and that's always fun. So we're gonna have some friends over for Thanksgiving, and we're gonna cook a bunch of uh, Indian food, basically, and so that should be fun. And we're still debating about what to do for the Christmas. I think we're gonna have both sets of parents here. And
Oh,
so we're not exactly sure how this is all going to play out, but yeah, we don't normally we're the ones traveling for Christmas, so I don't think we've hosted a Christmas ever. So
oh, that'll be exciting then.
yeah, so we got this two new kittens. They were born in July. And so
Hmm.
they're going to be 4 months old at the end of the month here. They're born at the very end of July. And so I don't think a Christmas tree is a smart decision, but other people are disagreeing with me. So we shall see.
I would say if you get a Christmas tree, get a Barbie one that's about this big
Mhm.
and put it up in a space that they can't get to.
Well, you know what I had done originally when our oldest cat was a kitten, we
Mhm.
had gotten like just a ceramic tree that was like had snow on it and some cardinals. It wasn't a Christmas tree, but I kept calling it one so that my mother would say, "Oh yeah, you have a Christmas tree." So we do put that out every year. To me, that's our Christmas tree, but I think we might go a little bit bigger this year in the sense of just putting some lights on a tree, and we'll figure it out. We're not sure how it's going to work, but it's
Yeah,
exciting. And
it'll be definitely exciting for those kittens.
well, I mean, they're probably the ones that are going to get the most presents. My mom loves to buy presents for the pets. And usually they sniff them out and rip open the packaging before Christmas anyhow. So especially if
Oh,
there's catnip in them.
I know that's what I used to do for Carl's brother. Is I'd put cat. He was the one who liked to open up presents, so I'd put catnip inside the wrapping paper, and he knew which present was his, and it's fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's good. I think it's going to be a good holiday season. I think the energies to me feel really upbeat, really positive. Um, I think there's some stress, obviously, because
mhm.
there just is, and there always is. But for the most part, it feels like it's going to be pretty pretty exciting compared to last Christmas in particular, and last Thanksgiving. But yeah, so you have some traditions you want to tell us about?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be traveling this holiday, and I just want to share a couple of small things that I do for protection when traveling. And the first is if I'm leaving my house for any length of time, and actually I do this on a regular basis, even if I'm not, you know, leaving it in particular, but I do a spell right outside the front door. And the what's that? The thing that goes around the door, is that the
Door jam?
no, is that what you call it? The like the piece of yeah, to like the right of the door, so you have your door, and then on the right hand side, I'll draw with two fingers, and this is I usually use two fingers, but this is just because of the width of the door jamb.
I think that's right.
Okay. Uh, and then I'll draw a nice little star, and then I'll do the pentacle, right? And I do the circle 3 times to make it a full pentacle. And then I'll take my fingers up to my lips, kiss them, and then press that kiss, kind of like seal it with a kiss sort of thing, a swack thing. And I visualize that energy just kind of like as a shield around the house as it's emanating from there. And in particular, protecting that doorway and anybody going in and out. And sometimes I'll kiss my fingers a couple times and like pat the doorway to just like seal that in place of that protection spell. And it's a minor thing, but it's very helpful and it's worked really well. I think if you're not, if you don't want to do the pentacle because it's not your thing, you could easily do a cross if you're Christian, or a Star of David if you're Jewish, or any sign of symbol that spells out protection to you. Use that symbol and then set it in place. And doing that on a regular basis is just kind of a nice thing.
I like that. That's really really interesting. I guess I have some things that I hadn't really thought about until we started talking about making this video. But I make these oils, and one of them I call fiery protection oil, and it's basically like all the scents from like gingerbread. I think we've talked about that a little
Mhm.
bit before on this channel, but it's got allspice and ginger and um you can
Cinnamon,
put
maybe.
cinnamon. Yeah, it's got cinnamon in it. This one has some high John root in here as well, although I don't think you necessarily need that. But I often take this and I will dab just a tiny, tiny bit on like the right underneath the door handle.
Hmm.
Um, and then I also do that on the back of my wallet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hadn't thought about it until we started talking.
I that sounds like a great idea. I love it. I should make some of that and use that as well.
Yeah, we should go over how to make that one day because it's not hard and you can there's a company and I know I've told you about them before. I have some of their road opener oil here, which is for a different purpose, but not we're not getting paid by the way to promote them, but I'll promote them because I like them. It's called Art of the Root.
Oh, I really like that company. Yeah, I've only bought from them once, but I loved what I got from them.
Yeah, I really like their road opener oil, which is about removing blocks and obstacles.
Hmm.
Um, that and they make a money drawing oil that smells really good. And they also have a fiery protection oil, but um, I go through it quite a bit because I put that fiery protection oil around kind of this sacred space just because I interact with so many people, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Kind of the way I do it, and I'll even sometimes put a couple drops in the scrying, which no rhyme or reason to that one. Just whatever. I think that's kind of the point, though. It's like whatever feels natural, I think
Yeah.
is the right move.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so there's one other protection spell that I do on a regular basis, and this is one that I use every day practically, multiple times a day, every time I get into the car. And it doesn't matter if I'm driving or not. It's super simple and easy. Um, all I do is I do a quick visualization. I use the word shields up, and I visualize a protective sphere around the car. And, a lot of times that sphere is blue. That has more to do with the fact that I played Baldur's Gate when I was younger, which is a video game. And the Sphere of Resilience was blue. I think it was that one. Anyway, so that's where that comes from. Sometimes it changes. Like lately, it's been branches that have come together, and form a protective space. And I've thought about the ethics of is it okay to do that with somebody else in the car without asking them? I decided it was okay just because, I'm protecting myself as well. And I don't even say it out loud usually. It's just a mental thing. Um, Sometimes I'll repeat it when I'm driving if I feel myself getting tired. And sometimes this just is like a little, pick me up of like, pay attention, shields up, watch the road. And it kind of reminds me that I'm driving, that I got to pay attention and be aware of my surroundings. So it's kind of a nice mental nudge as well. And there's actually a story of how this came out because this is not a spell that I created. This is a friend of mine created, a fellow witch, and she's amazing. But she was calling me one time about I think she hit something on the road, and this was a few years back. And it just, she just loves animals, absolutely loves animals, and it always just breaks her heart when something happens. And so um, she came up with a spell and she hasn't hit anything since.
Oh, wow.
Um, every single time she does it and hasn't had an issue since. She told me this after I told her that I had hit a deer recently. And since I've used that spell, I haven't hit anything. I mean, other than the bugs that normally fly through the air that you can't avoid. Um, but nothing bigger than a bug. I've never gotten into an accident since. So,
I
yeah.
like I think that visualization of the bubble, I use that in grocery stores and in public around my person, especially on days where I feel like extra sensitive
Oh,
to
yeah.
to try to well, you've been with me. People just come up and talk to me. I have no idea what they just do. Love to tell me their life story. But so I think that's very helpful. In the car, I have something my grandmother gave me when I was a kid. So I was I don't know, 7 or 8, something like that. And she had gone on a trip. This is right just a few years before my grandfather passed. My grandparents were in their 70s when I was born, just to kind of place that. So I was kind of, a very spoiled grandkid because I was the only one that lived near them too. So um, they had gone to the Petrified National Forest,
Hmm.
and she had given me a piece of petrified wood, and I always felt like that had like some sort of protection to it. It just feels that way.
Oh,
So I have it
definitely.
in the console part of the car. It's just there. That's
Hmm.
that's it. I have a couple of them, but I have one there, and then um I have one that I keep in the drawer that I keep cash at home and stuff too. I don't know if there's any metaphysical relationship between petrified wood and the stuff, but it's always felt like the right thing to do. So I just kind of go with what feels right. I think that's kind of, to me, the key to a lot of things is just to trust your intuition.
Yeah, I think I agree. That's your intuition is better than anything else, than any other book that you can get out there. Your intuition is going to tell you more about how to use things than any of that because it's going to be what works for you, for your body. And what works for one person may or may not work for another person, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I think I think that's right. I think, we respond different to different crystals, we respond different to different herbs and scents and teas, and just the same way that we respond different to different foods. We all have our favorite foods. They're not always the same, right? Makes sense.
Mhm. Well, and I think different crystals call to us in different times of our lives as well, depending on what we need to work with. Um, Personally, I believe in the chakras and the different stones connected with that. And I do think that, we get called to certain stones that enforce weak chakra energy. You know, if
Yes.
you are having struggling to tell the truth about something, you will most likely be looking at the bluer stones, the stones that are associated with speaking the truth.
Yes. I think that's absolutely right. The same if you find yourself, you know, never feeling settled. I think you're attracted to the root chakra stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and uh it just kind of depends. There's other stones that aren't necessarily associated with chakras that might attract you too, right? Like a lot of people are attracted to moonstone, for example, which is, this is one that's white and black, but
Hmm.
um I find, this one feels cleansing. Like I'll hold it like after,
Mm.
sometimes when I do a reading on the Epstein stuff, I feel a bit,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, tough. And we talked about ritual baths. That's another thing I do with that type of energy. But um, yeah, when I'm traveling, I tend to put something in my bag. Uh,
I do too. And actually, I usually have several somethings depending on how many bags I have. There are some stones that just live in your bag permanently.
yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I have I have yeah several different things in my bag from a money satchel to some amethyst, and which helps. I think amethyst particular for me helps me like be like on guard to pick up those like extrasensory perceptions that tell me, okay, maybe I don't want to go down this alley. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
um now that we're a little bit older, I think we tend to just naturally gravitate towards healthier things, so we don't I think most people tend to not need that necessarily, but uh you just never know, I mean, it's it's like, when we moved the last time, we because of the circumstances involved, and I don't want to get all into that, we did not have a lot of time.
Hmm.
Um because we weren't sure where we were moving to, and then once it was decided, it was like, okay, we put our house on the market, and then next thing we know, the people that bought it wanted to buy it, but they wanted a condition that we had to close in 14 days. And it was just
Ah,
but yeah,
ugh.
it's like, okay. So we had to move really fast. And so we rented a little townhome near where we live now, sight unseen, just rented it. And as soon as we got within like, or as soon as I got within like a mile of it, I just immediately knew that we're not going to be here long. Like, it's like we are not going to be here long. And my spouse
Well,
had gone before me to get the keys, and I was in the moving truck because we couldn't hire a moving company because we didn't have time. And my mother was with me, and she's like, I don't think you're going to be here long. I think she has some extra sensory perceptions. And as soon as we pull into this neighborhood of these townhomes that all look the same, it was like there's a movie called, I think it's called Verbanium, something like that, where all the houses look the same. And uh yeah, it was an instantaneous, like, yeah, we need to call a realtor right away.
yeah. Yeah, you drove me through that neighborhood last time I was there, and whew, that was well, once you see it, it doesn't take a psychic to know that if you can get out, you get out.
Yeah, so yeah, we moved into that townhome on a Thursday, and we had made an offer on a house on that Saturday.
Wow.
And yeah, it was crazy because it just, but I think anyhow, the protection, all that stuff, I think it's a known, it's like something that you just sense, that you just got to pay attention to your intuition. And I
Hmm.
don't know if I ever told you this story, Anne, but after we had been in that townhome for it took about a month to close on the house that we live in now. Uh, about the last week, I woke up to people urinating on my car. Did I ever tell you that?
Oh, I think you did. Yeah, because yeah. Oh, God. I forgot about that though.
I know. I'm like, why
Yeah.
are we here? Like this, sight unseen, renting apartments or townhomes are a little bit scary. But of course, our plan was always to buy a house. So,
Yeah.
um,
But I think sometimes the energies of a place, like people do things like maybe if they were in a normal neighborhood, those people would not have done that to your car. But when you're in a soul-sucking development, maybe their souls were sucked out, at least somewhat, and they were just not behaving normally.
well, exactly. That was such a like I would dark period. I guess that's okay to say.
Hmm.
I'm generally pretty optimistic. I'm generally pretty okay, go with the flow type person. But that month period of being in that house, it was real, or that townhome was really hard to get out of that energy. I mean, I was literally sitting on the couch every day watching flight disaster documentaries about planes that had crashed and eating glazed donuts.
See, that's yeah, that's a big sign that things are not healthy. Something's wrong. And yeah, sometimes, I guess there's different things, right? Sometimes it's something that's going on inside a person that can cause that, in which case, see a therapist, consider medication. But sometimes it can be outside. Sometimes it is a situation, and you just need to move yourself on away from the person that's toxic or the place that's toxic and get into a better frame of mind where you can be yourself and not this distorted version of you that emerges when you're trying to just survive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think trust your intuition, I think that example, the intuition was to get out before we were there. It just turned out we had to stay there for a little while. And once we were out, things improved dramatically.
Hmm.
Um, but there are other instances too. Sometimes, you know, especially around the holidays, there can be feelings of, not wanting to go to certain places. And trusting those, I think, always works out the best. Of course, you need to analyze it a little bit and make sure you're being honest with yourself about, do I not want to go because I just don't want to go, or do I not want to go because I feel like it could be harmful? Um,
Yeah, and be careful because family energies and dynamics can be complicated. They can be very positive and they can also be toxic at times. It depends on the family, it depends on the family member.
yeah.
Uh, do what you need to do to protect yourself.
Yeah, and and I think, as I've gotten older and married and now have this other side of the family, which is because I grew up, it was me and my mom and my grandfather and dad died when I was young. And um it was the three of us until, for the longest time. So that's kind of, what my holiday looked like. So I'm not used to this big gathering thing, right?
Hmm.
And so that's a new experience as an adult. And I think especially if you're sensitive to energies, it can be overwhelming.
It can, and so you do have to find times where you can maybe duck out into a room that's quiet and just sit there for a bit. Uh,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
it's yeah, but it can also be really great. It just depends on who you're around. And a lot of times it's perfectly fine to have a friend Thanksgiving instead of a family Thanksgiving. Those are wonderful alternatives.
Oh,
I
exactly.
Yeah, I also love the alternative food Thanksgiving. I've done that in the past where you just find some fun recipes and go with it, and you don't need to do the traditional turkey and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we've for many years done Indian food. Um, but this actually started when I was in college with one of my really, really close friends, where we said we didn't want to go home because we didn't want to drive over the mountains. And part of that was true. Uh, because driving over the Rockies can be a little bit scary, especially when the weather's a little bit iffy. Uh,
Hmm.
so I think, that's where kind of we started this kind of idea. And I remember it's like, well, what are we going to make for Thanksgiving? And it's all like, well, we had, at that time we rented movies. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Uh, we're like, well, let's just make a bunch of soup and rent movies and like just hunker down with some blankets on the couch and eat soup all day. And that's what we did. And it was fantastic. It was a great Thanksgiving. So
That sounds lovely.
yeah. What are you gonna pull for us today?
I thought I'd just do a couple of cards for Thanksgiving energy, What's out there for us this weekend, this holiday? What can we expect? You know? So, oh, well, Six of Swords, travel. All aboard, witch. It's time to write a new chapter. All right. So that is, I think, a appropriate start for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Um, oh, and then the Six of Pentacles. So I guess six is all around. Every blessing you give will eventually be returned to you. I like this one.
I do too.
I think that's a also blessings being returned to us and karmic energy coming back. I think that's a really great thing for the Thanksgiving weekend. And last up, we have a Page of Wands. Just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean it will be effortless. Oh, that that sounds like family dynamics, if nothing else.
Or the struggle to make a really good pie crust.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh, yes. That I still remember my grandma being upset when they took trans fats out of the Crisco because that's what made it so flaky. And one time my mom found old can of Crisco in her cupboard and she gave it to grandma for Christmas or yeah, I think it was for Christmas and it was a really good Christmas. Oh, yeah. All
That's
right, so that's kind of what we can expect, a little bit of travel, being generous to others and finding those generosities are reciprocated, and then also knowing that, there will be a little bit of work involved and that's okay.
I mean, it matches perfectly with what's going on in my personal adventure for the holidays. So, um, yeah, I think, travel too doesn't necessarily mean you're the one traveling, right? People can travel to you, and that can change dynamics as well. So, um, yeah, I just had this really positive feeling about the holiday season, which is not unusual necessarily, but it's different. Like something happened a few weeks ago or moon cycles ago or whatever that just really shifted the energies.
Yeah,
And like there's hope now. I don't know if you feel that or if
I
it's
feel it snowballing, if you know
yeah.
what I mean. Like it started out small. But I feel like over the last couple of weeks, it's grown and grown. And I think it's going to just continue to get larger and larger over over the holidays. And well into December as well. This positive momentum.
Yeah, I think too, and I think it's just it's gonna continue. It's like karma's kind of rewarding the right people at this point in time, and maybe there's some Schadenfreude or Schadenfreude with some of the people that we'd maybe disagree with as well. So it's kind of all of that, and I think it's yeah, it's I'm I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good break and a chance to have some good food and make some good food and maybe attempt to make my own pie crust again.
Well,
I'll
okay,
you
so
know.
the key that I've heard is that you put in, instead of using all water, you use like a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of vodka or gin, provided you don't taste it and you're okay with having that alcohol in your pie crust. Um, there are certain people who it's not okay with, and that's okay. But if you do something like that, you get the moisture without activating the gluten,
I wonder if
which
that's
is
because you could make the vodka colder than you can make water.
um no, I don't, it's not to with the temperature.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's with the fact that you don't, the water molecules are, you're not having water molecules necessarily connecting with the gluten and
Hmm.
activating it. So you're still going to get the flakier crust.
Well, I mean, I
I
struggle.
haven't tried it myself, so I don't know, but that's what I've read in the cookbooks that I have. And
Yeah,
yes, I have old-fashioned cookbooks. I love cookbooks. Oh my gosh.
yeah, my recipe's pretty basic. I think it's basically butter, flour, salt, and cold water from what I
Mhm.
remember. But um
Yep, that's pretty much everything. Although
yeah,
mine I think has Crisco still instead of butter, but you know.
maybe I don't know how I feel about Crisco. I don't think I've ever
Understood, understood. It's a, what do you use? Crisco, lard, butter.
well, I growing up, yeah, I mean everybody used lard, right? I mean, that's just the way it was where in the part of the country that I grew up, people
Hmm.
would render their own lard, and I mean I remember my grandmother doing it and cooking it under the oven for days it felt like, and skimming out the parts and redoing it and so on and so forth. But uh so biscuits were definitely made with lard.
Hmm.
But
Oh, my
you think,
dad used to eat lard sandwiches. That's bread
uh,
and lard.
I don't, I know you can buy lard, but I think it's
Yep.
all hydrogenated or hydrogenated, um, so that it has a longer shelf life. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
they
that
do
makes it
make
a,
it so it has a long shelf life now.
yeah, I
I
think
know
that,
because we still buy it for the holidays at my dad's house.
okay. Yeah, I think that makes it worse for you though than the actual just natural lard.
Probably. Yeah.
But I I didn't think we'd be talking about lard, so I have too
And on
many.
that note,
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up as we've dwindled off into talking about stats for podcast.
yeah, I hope everyone has a safe travels and a wonderful holiday, no matter who you spend it with, even if it's just a cat or if it's just you and a blanket. Um,
Absolutely.
have a safe and wonderful holiday.
Absolutely. I echo those sentiments. Thank you, everybody, for being subscribed and watching the videos, and happy holidays. And we will be back with another video soon. Bye bye.
Bye.